And welcome to another edition of your Human Service News and Information. I'm your host, Hasson Rashid, and it's excellent being here with you today. And today we have something special arranged for you. We have two special guests for you today, and it's excellent having them here with us today. Okay, am I right? We have Miss Eve Sullivan. She is the founder, CEO of Parents Forum, a non-profit agency here in the city of Cambridge, and we have Robert Wolsak. That's right. Did I pronounce that right? Robert Wolsak, and he's going to tell you about his experiences and how he came to meet Miss Sullivan, who has played a significant part in his life. Okay, so right now I'm going to asked Ms. Sullivan if she would tell us a little bit about herself, her history, and how she became the CEO and founder of Parents Forum, and a little bit about what do they do at the Parents Forum, their work, and etc. So I'm going to let her.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's an opportunity that. I'm very happy to have to be on the show with you and with Bob. Parents Forum is 20 years old, and it came out of some challenging experiences that I had when I was raising my own kids, and we got through them. And what I learned was that parents could really help each other in unique ways. And I thought, I'm a language teacher. I can teach this language of talking together in a collegial and supportive way without being a counselor. And so I wrote these 8 questions about family life issues, and that's our curriculum. And we get together in workshops. We use the questions and the tools of the trade that we developed, like the conversational formula, to help us manage conversations with coworkers as well as with our children. So maybe that's a lead into your work, Bob.
Yes, I'll start with how I met Eve. I met Eve now probably 6 years ago?
At least.
7 years ago when I was incarcerated. And I wrote Eve because I was trying to figure out ways to better work with my children who I was separated from. And Eve came in and started doing workshops in the prison system. And while I was in prison, I took advantage of the Boston University program and studied there and wanted to build a career for myself when I got out.
Great.
And when I got out, I became employed at a career point in Holyoke.
Okay.
What we are is one of the one-stop career centers.
Okay.
And our work is also with a lot of reentry folks, homeless folks, and people that are just looking for employment or looking to upgrade their skills. Mm-hmm. And I found that Parents Forum helped me communicate with them and tell them some things that they may not want to hear. It's very difficult to tell somebody something they don't want to hear. Their resume isn't good enough. They've got to work on it. They may not be able to make the type of money they want to make. And in Eve's book, it helps really understand how to communicate that to people. A lot of our work at Career Point is focused on building people up and getting them moving forward in the right direction. And I've been able to use those skills in my job on a daily basis. It's very difficult to tell somebody who's making $25 an hour that they may have to take a job for $15 an hour and their unemployment is almost up. And this is what we do over there. And it's very, very difficult. Parents Forum has helped me communicate with people and build on that communication and also teach other people how to communicate better.
I think the key thing, Hassan, is that we exist in 3 areas. We exist in our bodies, we do things. We exist in our heads, we think things and we say things, but we neglect our feelings. And that really is the focus of Parents Forum. It's emotional awareness.
Emotional awareness. So that implies to things like anger and fear?
Absolutely. Everybody is allowed to have all of the feelings, and what we teach in Parents Forum is if I'm angry with Bob because he was a little bit late today, I could say, Bob, I felt very concerned about your being late because timeliness is important and we wanted to get to the show on time.
Okay, Mr. Wolsak, you mentioned something about being incarcerated. Okay, and I think that Ms. Sullivan mentioned something about the Massachusetts Correctional Institute. Now, Massachusetts Correctional Institute is a female institution.
No, actually, Bob was in Norfolk, MCI Norfolk, and he wrote to me from there, and with the collaboration and obviously with the approval of the program officers at the prison, I went into the prison with another person, another man, to go and give the workshops. But it's strange to say, going into prison was uplifting.
Norfolk is different from MCI.
MCI stands for Mass Correctional Institution. So you have MCI Norfolk, MCI Walpole, MCI Shirley, then you have MCI Framingham, which is a women's prison.
Right. I haven't
Okay,
been into
So they all start with
that's
MCI.
what I'm familiar with, Framingham. Okay,
Yes.
Norfolk. Okay, as a child, do you think that, getting back to incarceration and causes why one would become incarcerated in today's society, do you feel that as a child, being too severely disciplined as a child, do you think that that is a factor that would lead to incarceration in later years?
Well, deviance has so many different aspects of it, and it's very difficult to say what causes one to become incarcerated. It's based on the individual. That's, you have the socio way of looking at it, sociology, or the psychological way of looking at it, which is the individual. So it's very difficult to tell. But what I will tell you is the children of prisoners are one of the most at-risk groups in America, yet most unnoticed and unhelped. They are at risk from everything from teenage pregnancy to becoming incarcerated themselves. So I think that the lack of a father or the lack of a mother can be very, very serious situation for a child. And I think that teaching each other how to be better parents and being able to reach out to each other, and even if your kids are doing great, learning a little something more to help them is worth it. For example, when you're incarcerated and you call your child, you don't want to say, "Oh, Dad had a rough day. Oh, I miss you so much. I'm hurting because I don't see you." You want to say more, "Hey, how was your day?" "My day was good. I did this, I did that, I did this," to uplift them. There's a theory called differential association, which is basically social learning. You learn what you know. You learn from those closest to you. So when kids grow up around crime and deviance, that's what they learn. If they grow up around violence, that's what they learn. If their parents are violent to them, that's what they understand. So it's difficult to say what causes someone to become incarcerated.
So you would say that a parent, broken home families, when there was only one parent there, you would say that's more detrimental to a child's human development than overbearing parental authority.
It's hard to say.
I would say that it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I mean, there can be intact families that are wonderful and are doing a lot of good things, and there can be parents who separate and divorce and still do a lot of good things. So I think the key thread is that the parent, as an individual and as a couple, if they manage to work together, can do a lot to help the child learn the soft skills, the social skills that'll help them negotiate the schoolyard. I mean, what you said about children being disciplined harshly, that's associated with bullying. So, I mean, studies have shown.
Yeah.
So it can both protect against a child being bullied if she learns to stand up for themselves, and it can also protect, I think, against being a bully. And
so your organization, Parents Forum, do they follow the child, or the parents work with the child all the way from childhood to the trajectory between childhood and adulthood?
We don't work with children.
Okay,
we work with parents.
Just parents.
And in point of fact, we've found it quite challenging to work with parents as individuals, and we now target an agency. So, for example, a Head Start Center, and I just was in Dallas at the Head Start Parents Conference and presented there. And there's a possibility that we could associate with the Cambridge Public Schools, for example, if they're interested in licensing our curriculum. That's my hope.
So you don't deal with you deal with the parents and the problems that they're experiencing raising their children.
Exactly.
Okay.
And parents can help each other. In other words, we're not counselors. We just talk about what works, and we have a set of questions that guide our discussions. Why don't you describe what we did in some of the workshops?
Well, some of it's role playing. You know, your child comes home late. They're supposed to be home at 11. You don't hear from them. They come in at 2 o'clock in the morning. So you're waiting, you're biting your nails, you're scared, you're nervous. There's two ways of dealing with that. There's, where have you been? What's wrong with you? How many times do I have to tell you? And automatically what happens with the child? Here we go again. They shut off, they're not listening anymore. What Parents Forum does is teaches you to say, in another way, you know, you being late, you know, them being late and what it caused and how they felt. You know what I mean? I feel scared when you're late because I don't know if you're safe or not and I love you. So, I mean, think about the difference when that's being said to you. There's a huge difference between that and being yelled at because you're late. It doesn't put up that defense. It's a conversation. Everybody has a right to their feelings. So when someone says, I feel this, well, you can't say, oh, don't feel that way. Well, it's the way I feel. So they teach you how to kind of come out of that. And let me tell you something. Being in prison, it's not easy to get a bunch of men together to talk about feelings. But what surprises a lot of people is in the prison system, a lot of these men love their children dearly. Dearly, and they don't want them to follow in their footsteps. And they want to figure out how to do things better. And that's what Parents Forum has done. But I want to stress again, that Parents Forum isn't just for parents. It's for people who want to be able to communicate better. It can be for human service workers. It can be for employees of companies that deal with the public all the time. It's a method of communication. It's a method of dealing with people in a different way and being considerate of the person you're dealing with.
And it's one more arrow in the human services quiver. I mean, there are all sorts of needs that people come to when they have a encounter with a human services agency. And Parents Forum, of course, I think it's the be-all and end-all, but it isn't. It's one thing that can be helpful.
Parental authority, so that's what you specialize in.
It's both authority and care. In other words, there are two aspects to parenting or to supervision. There's guidance and discipline, and then there's affection and encouragement. And we need both from our parents, and we need both from our supervisors. So it relates to workforce development and preparing our young people to be employed.
So Parents Forum, is that just one agency in Cambridge? How do we work outside of Cambridge? Are there other locations?
Well, the experience I had in Dallas at the Head Start conference was very positive, and I'm hopeful that there are some communities outside our fair city who will choose to license the curriculum, and then with technology that we have, we can put our materials on the website, and they pay the license fee, and then they download the materials. And it isn't just buying the book, which you can show, or buying the materials. It's where the heart listens. But it's engaging in a process where we, as Parents Forum, are helpful to those other community people who are doing the program. It's not just buy the book and go away. We want to support your process.
So if our viewers would like to in some way become involved or seek out your services, or they have some help that they would like to inquire about, how would they go about it?
Well, info@parentsforum.org, info@parentsforum.org.
Okay.
And you can look us up on the web.
It's 617-864-3801.
3802, actually.
3802.
617-864-3802.
3802, and that's 144 Pembroke Street. That's where you're located at. So, when you get back to children, do you find that okay? Now, getting back to the fact that you said that you can't determine why a child would end up incarcerated. There's no putting the finger on causes.
Right. There's no. For the individual, you could, but as a group, you really can't. You know, but dealing with the individual, it's very difficult to say the group becomes incarcerated, because you could have 5 siblings and 4 of them could become judges and lawyers and doctors, and 1 of them could become incarcerated. They've all had the same upbringing. So what happened? I mean, there's so many different scenarios to look at. that this is why our justice system really needs to work with people on an individual basis. And at Career Point, we do that with people with reentry. We work with people on an individual basis to help them work through what they're going through.
Great.
But remember, with Parents Forum, we teach the parents how to communicate with the youth. But once the parent uses this all the time, the youth also learns to use it. And they learn to use it with the parent. They can say to the parent, you know, I feel upset when you don't let me go there because all my friends are going. We've all heard that before.
Spiritual authority.
But how they say it to their parent is important. And when they use this skill, they can move forward tremendously. And in my work, I find a lot that people don't know how to communicate in interviews or with their coworkers, and they end up losing their jobs. This is why workforce development, I think, and this type of work and reentry work all come together. And working with the Department of Corrections is not an easy task. Eve has worked at it, and it's a very difficult task, and it's something that Eve has done well. And we're hoping that at some point she'll be able to continue it. Because I had these skills, it helped me in my career. I spent almost 16 years in prison, a little over 15 years. And within 6 months, I found gainful employment and remained at that employment. And a lot of it I can accredit to the things that I've learned, one of them being Parents Forum. And the other one, I have to say, Boston University.
Okay.
Their Prison Behind Bars program.
Okay, so your organizations, they are non-profits.
Yes.
And they are, how are they funded? Private, government, or what?
Well, the career centers, there's several of them in the state. There's many of them in the state.
Government.
Yeah,
It's government.
well, it's state and federal funds, but it is also private. It's a private nonprofit
Okay.
that's supported through those funds. And Eve is supported solely on her work.
Well, and
Or not
we
supported,
sell
or-
the book, I should say. The book is available through Amazon and Barnes & Nobles, and we recently reduced the price of the ebook. So you can now get the electronic book, Where the Heart Listens, for $2.99 from ebookit.com, and they also sell an audiobook.
You also have a connection with the MIT, Mass Institute of
Well,
Technology. Now, what's that all about?
I retired from MIT in July,
okay,
so I don't
okay.
officially have a connection with
okay, I
MIT
thought-
anymore. Although I do, I have to say, brag a little bit, I present a little session based on Parents Forum, the how to tell somebody something they'd rather not hear, at Charm School. MIT has a Charm School 1 day a year, and I'm a professor for a day.
So how can our parents help you help you out at Parents Forum? How can our audience or viewers?
Well, I would love it
What
if,
would you suggest,
if viewers
yeah.
today would speak to the family liaison at their school and suggest that Parents Forum could come into the school and work with parents there. Obviously, parents need to be concerned about their children's learning. We turn that around and we say, let the schools also be concerned about the parents' learning. Because there are things we do and don't do at home that can foster our children's healthy development and their learning, and we want to do more of the good stuff and less of the less helpful stuff.
So, well, you hear that? There's a lot of things that help at Parents Forum. So I encourage you to check the people out check them out. They're here for you, so there's no use in just avoiding.
I should
them.
mention
They're here
that
for you.
our public library is a wonderful resource, and the library has copies of Where the Heart Listens. So, not all that costs you is a library card. So,
Okay, so
Thank
can you tell us a little bit more about that book there?
well, we have Tools of the Trade. You can hold it up. Thank you, Bob. The Tools of the Trade are a conversational formula that teaches you to say I feel, about, because, and fill in the blanks appropriately. We have a handy guide where we talk about the balance in our life, self-care and decision-making, relationships with family and friends, achievement in school or work, leisure and service, and we ask parents to look at how they're balancing and managing their own lives. And then we have a really fun part, it's called the algebra lesson, where we talk about parenting behaviors. You know, are you the toughie or are you the softie? And then the children's behaviors as they move through their own stages of learning, stages of life. And a beginning learner is like a puppy, and then like a snail, and then in adolescence becomes a little bit like a donkey. I think we can relate to that. And then we hope they become in the end like an eagle and take flight and maybe just come home on the holidays.
So is that the only book that you've
That's all I've written so far.
That's the only one so far. It's a great book. I'd like to read that myself. And you, sir, have you written a book yet?
We want to do something
Not yet.
together.
We've discussed it. We've discussed it,
Okay.
and we've discussed it possibly writing a book concerning the children of prisoners and communicating with them and stuff like that. We've something that I would love to do. The children of prisoners is something I hold very dear to my heart because I had 3 children when I went away to prison. They were in diapers when I went away and shaving when I got out, and it's important. And programming is important in the prison system, and I urge people to put pressure on their senators and their congressmen and anybody who will listen to get more programming in the prison systems for parents, for workforce development, because they need this. And there's a lot. You'd be surprised at how many children of prisoners there are around. And Eve has taken a chance on trying to get in and teach the parents of the children of prisoners how to be better parents. That is one of my main focuses of being involved with Parents Forum. Eve helped me do it, and I'm hoping to pass that on to others.
And I think it can be key, in other words, when a prisoner leaves the prison system, one key element of success, one key contributor, is the relationship that they have had and that they further develop when they come out with their family members and friends.
Have you both heard of the court reform and the
Yes. I deal with
the
them on a
laws
regular
that
basis.
the laws that
Yes.
just went into effect? Corey. So you deal with. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
At Career Point, we work with the Hamden County Sheriff's Department a lot,
Okay.
and we have an unbelievable reentry program. Matter of fact, Ramona Reno was on the last time we were on CCTV. And Court Reform, one of the things on there says they can no longer in Massachusetts ask you on an application if you've been convicted of a felony. The idea of that is to get you an interview, where then you can, at the point of hire, they can say, okay, do you have a criminal record? And hopefully you've impressed them enough for them to overlook it. But learning how to talk about that is something that Career Point does a lot of work in. And we've been involved with the Department of Corrections a little bit about trying to get in to really get guys ready for the workforce when they get out.
So when a person is returned back to society from being incarcerated and he wants to pick up his family again, he wants to become a parent, raise his family, and he runs into a barrier when he seeks housing. Now with Corey, I mean, if you're incarcerated, you have a criminal record, it's very difficult to get housing.
It is.
It
is. My suggestion is to tap into the resources available. In Hamden County, we have Career Point, we have Homeless Coordinator, who is fabulous. We have people in place to help deal with that and explain how to deal with that. It's important. In this area, you have SPAN in Boston that helps people with that. There's a lot of organizations that help, but I think that the movement has to come from within the Department of Corrections to prepare people from that. Because you let somebody out today and say, sorry you don't have a place to live, but it's time for you to go. They can't find a job, they can't find housing, and they have no money. What do you think is going to happen? Recidivism rate is going to go up.
Right, back in jail. They can't repair the broken lives with the families as a parent, etc., etc.
And employment holds a huge part in the family. It's very important that these children see their parents work. And when somebody, I don't like to, like to call them returning citizens. When we come out, we're returning citizens. We deserve the right as citizens. And not everybody who comes out of prison is robbing people and doing things like that. If they're given the right amount of help, if they're given the tools to re-enter their family, and given the tools to get to work and be productive, they can be productive citizens. And it can save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts an awful lot of money.
So, our Parents Forum, do they work regularly with the incarcerated or former incarcerated?
We are doing that now.
Was this one special
This
case?
was over a 5-year period. We did work at the prison, and the Department of Corrections bought copies of our book for all of the inmates. But then in 2008, with the
So
downturn
now
in the
you
economy.
don't work directly with the...
We are not present, and I'm happy of this opportunity and hope that some of the viewers out there will approach the school department, contact their state legislature, or if they're connected with the corrections authority, with the sheriff's office, and say, listen, this is a program that we want. It's not run by counselors. It's run by ordinary people who want to help other parents get better at all of these skills that are so important for our young people and for their future.
Great. So we only have a few more minutes left. Is there anything that you would like to tell our
Mention the
viewers?
website and show the book, parentsforum.org, and the book is Where the Heart Listens. And I put my heart and soul into it, and I hope other people will touch other people's lives.
Okay, so we can, if you'd like to get in touch with the Parents Forum, you can contact them at 144 Pemberton Street, Cambridge, Massachusetts, 02140. And that phone number again, you'll have to give it to me.
617-864-3802. The last digit is
If you'd like to contact Rob Wosek, would you tell him?
Yes, you can reach me at Career Point in Holyoke, Massachusetts at 413-532-4900. And I urge people that if they have somebody coming home who's been incarcerated, urge them to use their career centers, urge them to move forward, contact Parents Forum, and really try to do this right. Re-enter the family the correct way and re-enter the workforce the correct way. There's a lot of Massachusetts career centers out there in your area. Find it. Career Point serves people in Hampden County, but they are very good and very serious about it. The other thing is I want to urge any parents out there that have a significant other or one of their children's parents is in prison, urge the prison system to bring in programs like Parents Forum to help your children have a better parent come home. That's what needs to be done. These children deserve to have a parent that is educated in parenting when they're released.
Indeed. So I thank both of my guests for coming out and joining us today. It was excellent having them here with us. So I appreciate it, Alvin,
I appreciate
Mr.
you.
Wolsak.